get it done, and that should necessitate his refusal.
Okay, world, why would CNN give this guy right here, he's from out of Florida,
Thank you, Chris.
what's going off now? Oh my goodness, you all, I just got this.
At the Economic Summit in Vietnam, here is his arrival.
Just, y'all, they're reaching, they trying to remove Mueller from the case.
Or even an informal one. So here to discuss is the former governor of New Mexico and former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Bill Richardson. Hi, Mr. Ambassador. Thanks so much for being with us. Help us understand all of this on again, off again. Will the president meet with Vladimir Putin? Will he not? Aren't these things planned in advance? Why does this have such an impromptu quality to it?
Well, there's jockeying going on between the Russians and the Americans, game playing. This happens. Are they going to meet? Are they going to meet on the sidelines?
Good morning. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Robert. Hey, Sean.
My sense is that there will be a meeting. I think it's important that there be a meeting, hopefully a formal one, if not an informal one, because we got a lot of issues with the Russians. We've got North Korea. Russians can help on North Korea. We've got Syria. Right now the Russians continue to help President Assad in that investigation of the chemical weapons. We've got issues also relating to the investigation by the special counsel. That, I think, is keeping President Trump from
having
a meeting, because he's going to have to talk about that to the press, and he may not want to upset President Putin.
Slowly but surely, it's all coming down.
Right, well, let's talk about that.
The drip done turned, the drip done turned into a faucet flow now.
Of Syria, as you say. Let's not forget about ISIS beyond Syria. So they have a lot of things that they could work on together and that they could discuss together. So do you think it would be wise for President Trump to bring up the Russia investigation? I mean, if he's trying to make diplomatic progress with those other things?
Yes. I think it's important that a meeting take place, a formal meeting. Otherwise, it's going to be a setback for both sides. And I think it's important that the president, perhaps for the first time, say that Russian interference in our election was unacceptable. Now, the issue
he already said that, but he didn't mean it from his heart. He just said it. He already talked to Putin, and they don't have to meet. They could, if they wanted to talk, they could talk on the phone.
President Putin on these domestic issues, and then say, "Look, you did wrong there, but let's focus on
who is this guy?
We can jointly get Assad out."
A former governor of New Mexico.
Of the Syrian issue, start helping us on North Korea, Russia, because it doesn't seem China's doing as much as it should, and it's in the interests of the region. And Russia was part of the six-party talks on North Korea in the past. That we try to bring stability to this region right now, where all of these meetings, these APEC meetings are taking place, and Russia is a big player. So it would be a significant
you thought
setback.
Putin and Trump was friends?
But I think politics are being played, game playing. I see the Russians are a little mad that it hasn't been scheduled yet. Foreign Minister Lavrov, who I know, who I serve with in the UN, he's very good at sort of sending these little buzz signals that it's important that a meeting take place. I suspect it will, and it should.
Look, there's all of these things happening here at home while the president is abroad. Obviously, last weekend's Texas church shooting. There's all of these sexual harassment claims, including one that is now embroiling Senate candidate Roy Moore. There's the tax plan. I mean, it just goes on and on. That has, somewhat overshadowed what the president is doing in Asia. So what do you think the upshot of his trip will have been? Do you see the needle being moved somehow?
Well, I think it's a trip of mixed results. On South Korea, on Japan, I think the trip went relatively well. On China, I think he kowtowed too much to China. China is not responding on the North Korea issue. I think President Trump asked him to cut oil exports, to shut down North Korean banks in China, to send North Korean workers out of China. The Chinese didn't do it. But there's incremental steps that they're taking, but not enough. Hopefully the good side of this result of China stonewalling a bit will be that the president is going to need to look at diplomacy or deterrence, and I think diplomacy is a better policy towards North Korea, a freeze for a freeze potentially, of two sides. You talk to the North Koreans, the North Koreans stop some of the missile activity. They haven't had a missile activity since September 15th, so maybe longer range, the trip result on North Korea will be good. But I think he kowtowed too much to China, and I think a lot of the countries in Asia wanted us to stand up to China, to be the dominant player in the region. But I think by some of these America First statements on trade, by saying that we're getting out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the 12 countries in Asia that are part of the summit and Latin America, that cedes American leadership to China. China, I think, is going to be the big winner in this entire summit, in these entire meetings the president is having.
Okay, in our very few remaining seconds, I know that you are not in the business of giving fashion tips normally, but can you just comment on the president's garb? He's obviously wearing sort of the native garb, it looks like, of Vietnam. It looks as though he's been given this shirt. Is this customary, that when leaders go over, they all sort of dress alike in this show of unity?
Yeah, this is something American presidents really don't like, because when they especially go to Asia, they have to wear the big white Filipino or Vietnamese shirts with all these embroidery. It makes them feel, a bit strained, and it's.
I like the shirt.
I recall in some of President Clinton's trips, whether the president should simply say, "I'm not going to use those shirts," or turn them on. But then you have to do it, because you don't want to insult, especially in Asia, where saving face, not insulting people is very important. So
there he
you
is.
just go ahead and use them. And
Where's Melania this morning?
Ambassador Bill Richardson, thank you very much for covering the gamut of all topics with us, Chris.
All right, so voting is now underway for the CNN Hero of the Year. Here is one of this year's top 10 heroes. Please meet Jennifer Maddox.
A lot of our young people are fearful to even come outside. The shooting, the killing. 5, 6, 7-year-olds, they're losing people that they love and care about.
My god brother, my cousin, my uncle, my brother.
We are in a state of emergency here in the city of Chicago. I'm a law enforcement officer, but I'm also a mother and a member of this community. I don't think that any child should grow up feeling like this could be it. Our center offers an escape for the young people. We make sure that the kids have healthy, hot meals. They get help with their homework.
11. So what you do with the one?
We mentor them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I am very proud to be one of the bridges to connect police and community. We have to learn to trust one another.
You know what I love about these? It restores your faith in ordinary people.
Oh, for
You know,
sure.
for all the negativity, all the perfidy that we're seeing around us, regular people doing extraordinary things just because they feel it's right.
And that's the beauty of CNN Heroes. So you can vote for Jennifer or any of your favorite top 10 heroes now at cnnheroes.com.
Okay, you all make sure y'all vote.
Suspension of Dallas running back Ezekiel Elliott appears to be on again. I'll find out what this means.
For your
in our
fantasy team.
report next.
The All-American team. Get people all riled up. So you all, this is truly, I mean, I tell you, day by day, 4 or 5 different storylines and everything. So y'all hold tight one moment. Don't go away. But if you have to, I understand.
Always the same. Nice protein and chip. That's not all protein shake. Geico has motorcycle and RV insurance too. Ooh, that's a lot more. Oh yeah, I'm all about more Teddy Roosevelt.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Hi, I'm Joan London. Today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And there's never been an easier way to get great advice. A Place for Mom is a free service that pairs you with a local advisor to help you sort through your options and find the perfect place. A A place for mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together we'll make the right choice.
Verizon and Google have teamed up on the Pixel 2. It's like Verizon is the oil and Google is the balsamic.
It's more like the Google Pixel 2 is the unlimited storage.
Verizon is the best unlimited plan.
I like oil and balsamic.
Get up to 50% off the Pixel 2 on Google's exclusive wireless partner, Verizon.
We're on a mission to show drip coffee drinkers it's time to wake up to Keurig. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. How are you? Well, watch this. I pop that in there, press brew, that's it.
So rich.
I love it.
That's why you should be a Keurig man.
Full body.
Are you sure you're describing the coffee and not me?
Good questions lead to good answers. Our advisors can help you find both. Talk to one today and see why we're bullish on the future. Yours.
Occasional constipation can be a pretty tough customer. Colex is the #1 doctor recommended stool softening brand. It's been gently softening up hard cases for over 60 years. Colex. Feel the difference only softness can make.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I was thinking a commercial was going to actually end and whatnot, so I'm not sure who all on. But it's kind of dark in here. So, wow. So for those who watched CNN last night, if you didn't, there was a show came on about Tipping Point, where a lot of people are actually have been, as far as dealing with sexual harassment in the office space, also in Los Angeles, as far as Hollywood and different places, and it's more of a power thing, dealing with in corporate world. So that was very interesting last night. It had Anita Hill on there last night, had some other ones on there from Hollywood as well. So all I have to say about it is that I have not been, I believe in the sense, I've had some winks and different things like that at me, but not where no one have actually approached me in a way that I needed to, let it be known, because trust me, I would. I'm one of them ones to be like, look, I would confront the person definitely and put them in their place and be in more of a lookout. But I've had situations where I've seen similar things that, as far as you hear about it, and then you don't really, I guess, share because you don't know the whole ins and out, because the person seems receiving to it, like they thinking that it's in a level of in a corporate world, it's like that's their way of looking at that they can advance. A lot of them do, but I don't know anybody who. Well, I'll take that back. I do, and the person did get called out on it, but the person's still working there to this day who got called out on it. So, so that was due to cover up. So now it's like, y'all see which way this is going. It's just like everywhere now. It's like everything is popping off. So I had mentioned in my spill last night that his name was Roy Jones, but actually his name is Roy Moore. The one, I believe Bannon, the one backed him up, in Alabama. He's actually up for the running for Sessions seat. And Session, have made a name in Alabama. A storyline of a whole family got a father who was siding with him. I want to say, a mother and father who dealt with back when they were younger and moving in towards, they were helping people to vote, showing people how things were done. And Session really went in and did a lot of crooked stuff, took them to court, and they were going to actually get put in jail. And I don't remember how many years that they had that was going to put in jail. But then their son come up later and start siding with Session. Can you imagine that? A child that you born and raised in the world was more like saying, well, mom and dad, that's old days. But they the one dealt, they were literally on the forefront for their city, and of course Alabama, because we're dealing with, and I'm trying to make sure I got it right, was dealing with voting and how the ballot, like they were taking, they could actually vote And so they were showing people what to do, make sure they were doing it right. And Sessions went in on him. So he got a long history of just pure, I say evil, period. He got a history. So all the things you all see that is happening to each and every one, trust and believe. We ain't seen none yet. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, in all aspects. But it's truly sad that this is where we headed, and this is a lot being unveiled. But I'm glad that the women and all are standing up. But we can't say only the women. There's men too who get, sexually assaulted or either sexual harassed. Not probably as much as women, and maybe if so, they don't really probably bring it to the forefront. But last night, that was a wonderful show on CNN, and I'm pretty sure you can find it now if you need to actually see it. So when I went to play as far as the video earlier, turn this on, it was actually was a person from Florida. I don't even know who the person is. I just show you. I'm like, who is this person? But he is a current congressman from Florida. He is actually wanting to, come out and speak about Miller in reference to the case that he wants him to actually quit or, recuse himself and just move on because they're trying to line it up with the uranium deal, which that was back accordingly, supposedly with Hillary and them. So what I got to do with him now dealing directly with Trump? See, now it's getting close now because Flynn's son is they're all in. I'm not sure if he have been called yet to actually far as speak with Miller. But my thing is, why this can't be played out on TV? They want to act all crazy in the dark. Why can't it be in the light? Especially when Trump's son probably already went. Junior probably already went. Donald Jr. probably already went and did the spill. I'm not sure if he did or not, but because Miller, they are really like close lit. You find out when it already happened, and they ain't finding out before it's going to happen. So that speaks a whole lot about what he got going on, you all. So I was up again last night. For those who know me and have been following me, I'm on my quest to learn more about my lineage, my history as far as going back into slavery. I had just spoke it out one day. I didn't pray about it and ask God for giving me the understanding, but I'm praying now that I'll get even more and the puzzle becomes more close knit in place. And what I mean by a puzzle, like a puzzle, there are pieces that is missing, or you trying to put in place to fit with what is what. So that's where I'm at with a lot of things. But I have a better understanding and knowledge now than before I had then. So I had mentioned because I wanted to understand why as far as European whites and in our other nationalities that are in America, why so. Well, let me back up. I'm not going to say other nationalities. Let's call it for what it is. Why European whites, why it seemed in appearing like they wanted to be superior and think that we should be in bondage. And I wanted to understand where the hate, why is so much hate, and never knew, never understood. I went on a quest and I started researching. As soon as I went to Google and put in information and something popped up about, of course, slavery. Then it went to Genesis. Because I wanted to understand who was the first person, where the thought came from about slavery. Why? Who would come up with this? Who would actually come up with something in this lineup? So as I began to dig, I actually came across, of course, the scripture going back in Genesis about Noah and the Ark and his 3 sons. And it went from there to how... Of course, the story of Noah and the Ark, where as far as with the Ark, and then anyone that was on there said only 8 people, humans, and the other was animals and different things. But where God came through and put a flood throughout the whole world due to the fact of sin, and there start praying and pretty much worshiping other gods and stuff. So with Noah, this is a whole new fresh start. But however, when you line up everything and you start learning your lineage, so I am in the place right now where I've been watching YouTube videos, I've been Googling, I was in the Bible, and I'm learning, and it is so amazing. It's so deep. It's so deep, where how the thought actually came, where the thought was actually where they were reading the Bible, or lining things up with the Bible, looking for the prophecies of what's going to happen, who was going to be held in capture, and how the things were going to generate. So one may say, well, if they already know what was going to happen, why are some probably in the sense of why did God allow it to happen? When people prophesize, they prophesize of something that is going to happen. So it's all lined up, you all. But the thing of it is that in 2 more years, it'll be 400 years for as far as with slavery actually started in America. So that would make 400 years in 2 more years. We are better. We're from our ancestors back. Of course we are. But there's it's where your fine house and fine clothes, your Gucci's and your Louis Vuittons and your Hermes and your Cartier and all of those. Yeah, you might have all of this, but this is right here, which in sense of knowing that, opening up your understanding and understanding the Bible, understanding your heritage, know what is what. So that's where I am at, and I am on this quest. I was just reading over some things, and even where I had kind of came across something with one of the popes, and not only one pope, but all of them, with actually the Black Madonna, which, is Mary and then Jesus Christ there. And this is all through, different like European countries, as far as in Spain, and also in Rome, and so many different places that people travel to every day just to like kiss the feet of that, of the statue, and it's black, and there's so many actually arts and paintings and statues and things all over a lot of different places. Not in America, not like that. Only if they did something, like would consider as when we celebrate in February Black History, you will see a statue. We, of course, of one, but this is where this really started way back, where the Moors, and if you've been studying and knowing the Bible, where they were in rule, and how there were kings and queens, black kings and queens. So in Europe. So I was like, oh my goodness. I said, well, God, this is just something that I want to even open up, and I'll bring as much that is given to me to out there to whoever wants to know. So I started on my quest. I'm still in the area of wanting to know even more. I want to hear the story, because every story I hear from a slave who was speaking, because they got footage of them speaking, like said their parents were slaves and they were born into slavery, and then it could be where one's art was actually the slave and they were actually recorded. If that make any sense to you, I mean, from the ones I saw. Just probably about 30 minutes ago, because that's what I want. But they're telling the story of why they were slaves in America. I want to hear the story. So if you all know anything, let me know. I want to hear the story of them getting on the ships and what happened on the ships and when they came. And what I wanted them to do, and I haven't found it yet, is for them to pass the heritage of telling about keeping the heritage going, keeping where we should know all this. But I'm pretty sure, like the white man did not want, to probably beat it out them, that not want them to share it, not want them to think, want them to recondition their minds of thinking that, hey, you in America now, you a slave, so leave whatever in Africa. But it has to be out there, and I'm looking for it. So that's one of the things that I was actually just looking for early before that news, breaking news came on. But to hear, it's okay to hear what happened after, slavery was abolished. But I want to hear what happened. I want to hear, it got to be somewhere written or something, even if it's not in English, somewhere written where it can tell when they're on the slave ships moving into the inlands of the United States. That's what I want to know right now. That's what I want to find out more about. So pray God open those doors for me to find that out. And I can actually, I'll share it. So on my page, I'm just saying, has a lot of things that I've been sharing. Was a video that I shared. It was Egyptian. She was Egyptian. It was three white men telling the story of saying that, for the blacks, African or so-called blacks, so-called Negroes, or whatnot, that you all don't know the truth. And they were sharing their truth and saying about, even in the Bible, about Jesus Christ, according to the scriptures, and saying that, all is covered up of wanting in everyone to believe and think that, he was a blonde hair with blue eyes, and it was not. So they're telling the truth. So I shared it in a video message, but the video was kind of, slowing up. Well, as far as what you would call it, slowing up yesterday, where it did not allow it to play that well. So I may do it again. And I know that this is probably something that some people may not agree with or understand or not want to coincide with. And it's okay. It's not for you. Then, bye-bye. But for those who would like to know further or want to go on your own quest, don't only hear me, listen who find out who you are. And that's why another thing I'm doing on Sundays, one, I will be showing videos I did last Sunday in Oprah. It's Chris Tucker, Quincy Jones, and who else it is? It will be more people too. And JD Takes will actually, TD Jakes, I'm sorry, TD Jakes will actually show their heritage right in front of our eyes, where this guy, his name is, I want to say Leon Gates, is working with him to bring them from their family tree all the way to the Africa line, as far as their tribes and their bloodline there. So it's a process, and it's probably about 8. And so I'll show one until I'm finished, and then I'll move also into, and I might swap and do it, because there's some lineage like Anderson Cooper. He has a strong off of CNN, his heritage. His mom is Gloria Vanderbilt. Some people don't even know that. And then his mom is actually, when you have heard of the Biltmore home here in North Carolina, Biltmore is his family line, from his mom family line. And then we hear more about his dad family line. His dad family line, when the guy sat in front and was showing Anderson all the information, and they were going up from the areas of the tree, like from this grandfather to great grandfather to great grandfather, and when they got further up, I think about 3 grandfathers up, slave was in the mix. They owned slave, and it was 12 slaves, I want to say 12 slaves. But what happened was the slave actually ended up killing Anderson great grandfather, and Anderson never knew that. But that was on his dad's side, because his dad lived in Mississippi. So Anderson found all that out. I mean, pictures, and they're like, well, how did you find this? Well, how did you find that? So he has a really, really rich background on the side where his mom, because I went to the Biltmore and I was like, oh my God. And I think I found out about Anderson Cooper probably the same week that I went to the Biltmore. But that family line was kind of cut off from his mom, kind of separate herself. And Gloria Vanderbilt had made a name with all the, of course, with the first genes in the storyline with her. But she born into wealth, period. And they life more like, they kind of separate themselves. So for the family members that live in, pretty much got rights to the Biltmore now, it's an amazing story in itself. And I went through, and I went through the basically all the areas they wanted me to go through, and I was just in awe. I was like, I just can't believe the brains of the mindset of someone way back. Because, Europe is always, in a lot of ways, advanced in a lot of things. I mean, in a lot of ways, far as technology and all that kind of stuff. So I remember actually going into the bit more and then, just seeing it in real time. The elevator was in place. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this was like back, like in 1800s. And then not only the elevators, they had a rotisserie for the chicken, like to cook the meat. Then they had an indoor pool, not an outdoor pool, but an indoor pool was heated. I mean, they had many things that it was so like it wasn't even a thought of as far as modernizing and whatnot. So that was just amazing and stuff. So that's his lineage, and I will go over that and some other ones too that are whites, that their lineage too as well. I will cover that. But that's the exciting part, just knowing history and knowing others. And this may inspire you to want to know more about who you are, what is your bloodline, and when it comes down to whether you, as far as a descendant of Shem or descendant of Ham, Japheth. I want to say Japheth. Either one of those three, because those from Noah, after the ark, those from the three sons, and they explain a whole lot, whether you're a Gentile, are you a part of the 12 tribes? Because African Americans is lined up, and I have a picture that I screenshot from somewhere under a tribe is called Judah. Then they got the Haitians, the Mexicans, Hawaiians. Everyone has their line up, and it's amazing. So, and to connect this with the Bible, and they cross over reference to different things. So many things has been written, and they're in like Europe, different places that if you're not reading and you're not really getting deep within, you will be just like me. I've been. Because it crushed me to a certain degree, just knowing that with Africa and the way how they came up to me to want to even dig more about it is because when the soldiers got killed in Niger, I was like, well, let me look in Africa newspaper and see if I can find anything about them. So I pulled up African newspaper, and they at the top was telling me about wars. It was 15 wars going on in Africa as we was right then. And I'm like, how in the world 15 wars can go mean to tell me American soldiers in 15 wars in Africa? But no, 15 wars. And they name out the different, the countries that were fighting each other. Okay, so, which is not really, never really been shown in America that they didn't war. I have you heard anything? It was going on. But and so special forces and then the Green Beret, of course, they go and they do certain missions where it doesn't take all the soldiers, but we now find out they had 1,000 soldiers, American soldiers in Niger area, and supposedly to train them. So anyway, which led me to say 15 wars, and then I was reading, and then I was like, well, I started looking at, the map. And then as I'm looking at the map, I'm like, wow, okay, so Africa, all these different countries. And just didn't know, the ones that name out, and mainly when you hear certain names, you say, oh, okay, well, Ghana, you know Nigeria, and I just really like pay attention, zoom in on Nigeria because that's what everybody was talking about. Then different other parts of Africa. So as I'm looking, was reading, and then came across this, so well, you could fit, the United States, and you can fit like I want to say either 7 or 8 other countries with the United States inside of Africa, and you still got room. I was like, what? Africa that big? But you're not even thinking, but because a lot of it was stripped that was not actually brought over or either talked about or in school And you may, in your school, may got it, but honey, I did not get it in my school. We covered the bare minimum in any aspects. I mean, very, very, ones that we will be actually looking at as far as Black history of what happened since after, you know, as far as the abolishment of slavery and all that. The ones, you know, what we'll be looking at is Harriet Tubman and different things like that will have shown. But I've learned a whole lot, even working with AT&T for the month of February. We had it where the whole month we had, you know, this one or two people that were designated, and they sent out emails throughout the day of black owners and one that has impacted our world and our country, our United States, in a mighty way, and things I did not even know. I said, oh my goodness. And I was like in my, I wanted to say when I started working at AT&T was in my 30s. And I was like, wow. So then now I'm like, I didn't even know Africa was that big. So at the end of what I'm trying to really say is that a lot of things were just like pushed, not pushed aside, like not brought to the forefront. If you didn't dig for it, you will not know it. Because people are not really talking about it. But what it was trying to do was make it still in a mode to keep you thinking, diminishing, like, well, Africa is nothing. We saw, people who appear to be, well, not appear, are starving with flies floating around, and it was destitute. The land was like, it's not rich as far as planting or growing or anything like that. They didn't talk about diamonds. They didn't talk about oil. They didn't talk about none of that. They was like mainly showing what they want us to see. And unfortunately, they got me. I put it right into that group of people of what they wanting, because the truth is, you all, and it's facts, and it have been said. A lot of it about not reading and not, researching and cross-referencing, however you want to say, you will be ignorant to the truth. You will be ignorant to the truth. And it'll be so sad, to say we see, say a black man stand before us and, we thinking, oh, that can't be Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is white with blonde hair with blue eyes. Imagine Jesus come back and we're like, well, and I know I'm not trying to get anyone in a area and say, well, black is this and that and best. No, that's not where I'm at with this at all. I want everyone to understand, get to know who you are. These are moments for discussions, understanding who you are and knowing your heritage, knowing about, as far as if you was under Shem descendants, you are the chosen ones as an African American. And it goes further than that. It goes all the way out to the Indians, West Indians, Haitians, all of that. It was separated from the 3 sons of Noah. So if you don't know that, you need to understand that. Know your heritage. So I just was reading earlier this morning, and I haven't was one that I saw on Facebook. I mean, not on Facebook, in YouTube, and was talking about slavery was actually, they had slaves. There were white slaves. So I challenge you, go ahead and Google it, because you ain't gonna type in no black. You ain't gonna type in no white slave, honey. You gonna type in what? You gonna type in black slave. It's gonna be black slaves. But there's one guy who have done his research, and he is a YouTube thing. And I just before, like I said, I was looking at it, and it was in during the Moor timing, where in Rome, Europe. And so that's something that that's the first thing I ever seen. So I have not seen anything else that says that. And honey, trust me, I'm just saying, I don't know. I didn't see. He showed, he went through all the different areas to prove it, but that's the only person I've ever heard of that said that. And I know you all say, well, goodness gracious, this lady, she deep early this morning. What the world? Yep, sure is. I don't know all the truth in it, But that's something that I would want to look more into, because the reason why is saying that, because there was a movie also that was a part of it, and it was with it was more of a mobster story, and it was saying about Sicily, how the black line was in because of the Moors, the black, actually fair skin and all that, and they ruled that area, and they had them as, and would say white man, but it's European white in slavery, and I want to say it was 100,000 of them. So that's what I just saw, but I haven't seen it no place else. But we all know when we type in slavery, a lot of it gonna come up what? Black slavery. We ain't seen nothing about no white slavery. So I'm just on here to keep it real, keep it 100. That I know, and a lot of things, I'm not trying to shave off what you think or remove what you know in your life. I just asking you to open up your understanding and knowing and stuff, and line it up with the Bible. When you got all the Bible scholars who have studied the Bible, and they have actually referenced out to different areas, because remember, King James Version is from it's from a king who have allowed the books that to put together for the Bible. All those books. So there even say that there's more books than that should have went in there, but why those one was chosen, that's a question for me, and I would need to look a little bit further into it and whatnot. So it is deep. But I know a lot of people may say, well, at the end of the day, I know God loved me, I love God. Okay, and that's fine. But if you are on a quest and want to be on a quest, or have any questions or any concerns, I say first, pray, ask God to open those doors to understand. You got to listen to me. You got to listen to the ones on YouTube or the ones that you Google or anything. But what you need to actually do, find out who you are, your lineage. But everyone that were brought on the ship, according to some scholars, that they were descendants of Shem, meaning that you will be in America, the black African Americans are of Shem, and that they are Israelites. They're the chosen one. And it's so many different places. I've seen it more places than I've seen anything that opposed that. And it's not only black people talking about this white, it's all different nationalities saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. So you, for those who out there who may doubt what I just said and don't want to hear it, because one guy, oh my goodness, I was looking at it. He had two Bible scholars, but one, he was more of a historian. He was more like, he wasn't more of a Bible scholar, but he knew the history. Okay. Then you had another one. So they were like kind of working together, but they were being interviewed by this one guy. And the one guy was like, well, you all done changed up the whole dynamics, because, of course, you rich within your means because of what you might have as far as materialistic things, but your heritage is so much richer and make you richer. And there's why a lot of ones who are, just thinking that this world just so down on them. But if you're reading the Bible and understanding the Bible, and it's broken down where a lot of pastors and preachers not covering those areas, or they're not going into details, then you feel like you're really nobody in a lot of ways. But honey, you everything. But I got to admit, I'm just saying, I always felt like I was a princess. I don't know what y'all. I always did. Before I had this page, when I had this page years ago, it was Princess Darlene Pierce. This the name. So due to whatever with what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, they got some rules, whatever and whatnot. Because many people have been telling me forever, Darlene, just go ahead and get your name changed to Princess. Put Princess in the front of your name. I never did that. But I'm speaking. I'm kind of goofing off a little bit here or there, but. The truth is that, I always knew I was somebody. I always felt I was somebody, because God would have given me the understanding to know who I am within me, as far as me being proud and understanding that all things are possible. So I'm everything in the sense to me, but there are some people out there who feel like they are like could be worthless, or they're nobody, or they're this, but you got to read, understand your history, your heritage, understand who you are. And not for you to look down on people when you find out who you are, but it's for you to absolutely understand that one day all this is going to be reversed. According to the Bible, now I want to say Daniel was the last prophet in the Bible, the prophesied. This is going to be reversed. The last will be first. But the thing of it is that this, from back in Genesis, they already knew. That's why because I was like, well, God, I just don't understand. How could someone enslave someone and feel so? As I'm reading this and understanding, then I did my research. I'm like, they already knew. They already knew the prophet to see how things were going to be landed. I even got the ship in the Bible saying the ship was going to take, ones from their land, that they of no return. This has already been in the forefront. They already know. So when you look at, say, why, a European white or whoever, whenever they came over to Africa and did whatever, they felt like they was in their rights of knowing of what the Bible was saying. That's the way they feel. So I know I got maybe all nationality watching me right now, and y'all hope y'all understand my quest. For those who African Americans who feel like, well, what she's saying don't make no sense. For those who, hey, I'm with you. For those who want to know more right now, leave off from me. Google it. Start Google, because the more you Google, the more you're going to want to know. The more it's just going to unfold. You go on YouTube, it's like boom, boom, boom. Things start popping up. And there's like things I have start following certain people because they comes on and they talk about different things. But for the main part of it is that the Bible is where you will see all at. But a lot of times when they cross-reference or they are able to show a video footage that they already have went and did this research, and you can actually see how it's lined up in the Bible. It's lined up. But for all the ones who, they may say, well, okay, now she is, what she's trying to do here. I'm trying to spread what is given to me to share with others. They will have an insight. And if this inspires you, I definitely say, know who you are. Find out who you are. Everyone deserves that. It was stripped away from our ancestors. And why I've been searching, and if I should be able to hit Google and know a write-up or something about the ones who were slaves, that they have passed it on in generation, that someone can say, well, my great-great-grandmother passed this on to my great-grandmother, and then my great-grandma passed this on to my grandmother, and my grandmother passed this on to my mom, and my mom passed this on to me. That's the way it should be. Don't get me started this morning. But if it's there, I want to know, and if you know it, please share it. That's the way it should be. But I Google it, I don't see nothing. And it could be, and I'll be the first to come back on and say, oh, I found something. But I found it with a slave, they're talking about what they did on the plantation. That's great, that's good, because we got to understand it. But I want to know what happened when the ships was there, and they actually was on the ships, and the first one that came in to, which was I understand was Virginia, then it moved into and start going in other directions of the United States. What was passed down in generation? What was passed down? What is the names? I mean, all of that matters. And I'm not sure. I want to say it's Edison. It starts with an E. It's an area in New York City where they can go. Is it Edison? That, ones from different nationalities can go and they can find out their heritage by just clicking on a button. And of course, African Americans don't have that. But we have moved in time. The person that I was sharing with, whose last name is Gates, Leon Gates, will definitely take you through history, and he is pretty much probably still doing shows that are on whatnot. Now there were some that were doing DNA tests from Africa and say that this is your lineup, and some say it was it wasn't true, that they were just getting over on people. So I don't know how true that is, how much that is, but it just, I truly believe that why God put me on this quest, because I'm a person, I share things. I'm a person that I get passionate about whatever. And I'm a person, I believe in bridging the gap. Because it's not only for models and talent. It's anything in my life. Whether you are a fashionable person, you want to know where to get fashion. I'm going to bridge the gap. I'm going to bridge it over, let you know. That's just who I am. I always have been. And I will be until the day I die. So that's all I have, everyone. I'm not sure who all on. I see some names here. Y'all probably didn't expect this morning. They talking about Flynn now again. So I'm going to give some shout outs. Hey, Jennifer, we spoke earlier. Hey, Robert. Hey, Sean. Hey, let's see, Gray. Hey, Rolanda. Hey, Robert. Hey, Tiara. Hey, Clarence. Hey, Liz. Hey, Gray. I'm going over the same. Hey, Tim. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Samuel Steeples. Pinkney, how you doing? Homeboy. Hey, Annabelle. Hey, Antoine. Hey, Tiara. Hey, Darius. Hey, First Class Whispers. G, okay. Julius. Hey, Julius. Hey, Darlene Simpson. With my name. What you doing with my name, girl? Darlene. So, I just wanted to come on and share, and I will share as much as possible, as I'm led to. But my kids will tell you, my world has, I wouldn't say consumed in this, but it's just like things will pop up, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to find this out, and I'll go Google it. But I'm definitely on my quest to find out more, and I will share more as I'm led to share. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So you all have a great rest of your day. I need to come on and do IPH Buzz News, give the latest and updates with the models and talent, what's going on with them. We got a lot going on with them. Then our networking party tomorrow at 12, and auditions again tomorrow. And I may be traveling, so I'm not sure if I will be traveling or not, but I will definitely let the ones out there know. We can set it up, and if not this weekend, for next weekend. But God is awesome. And I love every one of you, because the love He had put in within me to love no matter who, what. So y'all have a great day. God bless. Bye-bye.